Hello, my name is Sonia Massari. I'm a researcher at the University of Pisa at the Department of Food, Agriculture and Environmental Studies. And I'm also the co-founder of FORK, which is a food design for opportunities, research and knowledge no-profit organization. My presentation today will be practically divided in three phases. We will start with a short overview of why the term food design has become so trendy over the past 10 years, exploring the social and industry factors that driving this popularity. Next, we will explain the most commonly used categories that define food design, providing a framework for how it is applied in the various contexts. And finally, we will conclude with some key takeaways on the connections between food design, innovation, and entrepreneurship, highlighting how they intersect to create new opportunities in the food industry. So first, defining food design is quite a challenge. In fact, it's more like trying to define food itself, which is very complex and multifaceted subject. Food isn't just fuel for our body, it's tied in culture, in history, and innovation. But let's start with this. Food design isn't something entirely new. Its roots can be traced back to the Industrial Revolution. During this time, food production underwent massive changes and design became to play a key role in shaping how we interacted with food. So not just in terms of what we eat, but also how food is packaged, is distributed, is consumed, and also post-consumed, if we think about food waste and education, for example. While food design has historical roots, we said in the Industrial Revolution, it gained real momentum in the academia world in the 90s. This is when food studies began to emerge as a discipline. Academics, so the academia, became more interested in the complexity of food and food cultures, how we eat, why we eat, what we do, and how food is related to the identity, to the society, and even to politics and human rights. Recently, the application of entrepreneurship and creativity to, for example, the gastrodiplomacy became quite interesting for different areas of research. As food studies became more established, they opened the door to a deeper exploration of food design. Researcher and designer alike became thinking about how we could approach to food from a more creative and a problem-solving perspective. So design studies came in a complement of the food studies by providing practical solutions to the issue that were being studied. Early on, international organizations began forming around this area, bringing together people who were passionate and about food design. For example, the North America Food Design Network, the South America, the network of the food design in South of America, the Dutch Institute network, and also FORK. FORK, Food Design Organization, is a nonprofit that was created to provide advocacy and information in the food market and specifically in the food job market, because the industry many times don't know exactly what kind of profile is the food designer and how they can interact and they can influence, they can create an impact in the innovative process. Then there were also many events and conferences, not only united to the academia, but many places started to creating dialogue between practitioners, so chefs, designers, entrepreneurs, but also policymakers were included in this debate. Food design became quite interesting for all of those categories. Together, they started to define and categorize food design, shaping it into what it is today. They cross-pollination, their cross-pollination of ideas has made food design an exciting and interesting field that is still evolving. But food design is not just something that you create aesthetically interesting and pleasant. It is also about solving big challenges, such as how to promote healthier and more sustainable diets. In the recent year, in fact, we're seeing a growing focus on food design as a tool to influence what people eat and how they eat it. So from redesigning, for example, school lunch program, to reducing food waste through innovative packaging, the goal is to find the ways to support healthier and more sustainable lifestyle. In many parts of the world, there were being a shift away from trying to strictly define food design. Instead, personally, I think that the emphasis should be on its inclusivity, bringing in the food design in diverse perspective and considering potential opportunities for food design to grow, to adapt to different needs in the food sector. So rather than narrowing the food design down, we are seeing a broadening of its scope. So let's now take a look of the most common used categories to explain the key fields of the application of food design. But again, I'm going to underline this part. I really don't like so much to categorize, but instead I like to underline its inclusivity. So let's start with the first category, food design with food. We have primarily two main definitions, two main categories that are matched together. From one side, we have the food as material, as raw ingredients, to make something new. On the other side, we have how we can change the user behaviors, how we can change habits, how we can create new food acts, new food rituals. So material and from one side, changing mindset from the other side. The first part is related about how working with actual material, actual food, can be used, can be considered by designer as the combination of form and function. So how they can work together to create food that not only visually appealing better, but also it is better from the function point of view, from the sustainable point of view, from its accessibility. On the other side, change mindset, change user behaviors. This focus on designing food experience that can shift how people think about food and influence their eating behavior. So wherever it is, reducing meat consumption or encouraging plant-based diet, for example, food design can nudge user toward healthier and more sustainable choice. So it can be also very risky because food design can also bring people on the other side to behaviors that are not healthy or not sustainable at all. So one of the most exciting areas in which food design today is developing is the alternative protein, for example. Take, for instance, the concept of recreating eggs, like you see in this slide, but in a totally vegan version. This is not just a substitution for animal products, but is a complete reimagination of what eggs can be from a plant-based perspective. Or I say that innovation doesn't stop here. Food designers are also at the forefront of the experimentation, creating entirely new products. A great example is the Uruguayan project, Autoctonario, you see here in the slide, which focus on the rediscovering and bringing neglected fruit species, and so fruit that usually are not in the market, back to the market in an innovative way. Then, for example, another picture you see here, we have this growing trend of upcycling food waste into new product. For example, here they transform surplus food in a delicious snack. And there are also even extreme and very personalized idea where 3D printer can craft food based on the individual health needs and maybe also DNA, like in this example you see in the slides. An amazing case is really this restaurants that creates custom sushi tailored specifically on the health profile of its customers. Food design will be crucial in emerging markets like alternative protein, as we said, cultural meat, and sustainable agriculture. The design of those products, for example, needs not only to be appealing for the consumer, but also address global challenges like feeding and growing population and reducing the impact in our planet. Let's go to the second category, which is food design as product design, perhaps the most well-known version of food design. This covers everything from the branding to packaging to the edible product itself. A standout example are the experimentation from Tomorrow Machine, a Swedish design studio that focus on building better world through this research, new technology, and intelligent materials. They offer, in fact, a packaging made entirely from food. This is a perfect illustration of how sustainable packaging can become a core mission for food designer, aiming to protect both present and future generation. But food design is not just about creating a better consumer experience. It's also about addressing some of the biggest challenge we face nowadays, like sustainability, for example. Sustainability is at the core of many innovative food design today. Designers are finding ways to reduce food waste, to create eco-friendly packaging. For example, this edible packaging or packaging that is able to be dissolved in the water is one of the way how we can reduce plastic waste. The idea of a circular food economy where nothing goes to waste is gaining traction and interest from many sectors in the food chain. And food design plays a critical role in making this a reality, a concrete reality. By thinking creatively, we can design food systems that are both profitable, but they take care also about the environment. Through innovative design like this, for example, the one you see in the slides, we're seeing how food designers are rethinking the entire life cycle of food products, ensuring that sustainability is at the heart of every stage, from production to consumption, and also post-consumption, we like to say. But they also show how a food product can become a food educational tool for consumer. Design for food encompass, which is another very important category, encompass all the tools we use to prepare, to cook, to serve, to eat food. Think of the evolution of disposal solution. We are constantly changing not only the impact in the consumption habits we have, but also we try to influence broadly the cultural practice in the agri-food system. Food design touches every part of the experience, from the tools in our kitchen to the space we're gathered to eat. This is why in this category, we include also foodscapes and food landscapes, the space where food is grown, consumed, and enjoyed, as well as the smaller environment we have in our kitchen. For example, think about the kitchen appliances. And let's not to forget the food design for pets and animals, which is becoming a booming sector, especially in the use of nutraceutics, where designers are creating more nutritious and eco-friendly options for our pet. And this is also for the breeding purposes, so for the animal that are part of the breeding, and they will become also our food from the human point of view.